Hi there. My name's Jesse Thomas. And first of all, I'd like to say I'm very honoured that Beaumaris Theatre has asked me to read a monologue for them. I love Beaumaris Theatre. They're one of my favourite theatre companies. However, I'm not actually going to be doing a monologue today. I'm going to be doing a book reading. Not an entire book, but just 2 pages of a book I think a lot of people are familiar with, To Kill a Mockingbird, by Harper Lee. To Kill a Mockingbird was written in 1960 about the events that happened in 1935, revolving around a family, the Finches, from the viewpoint of the youngest daughter. The section of book I'll be reading is part of Atticus Finch, the father, part of his final address to the courtroom in his defence of Tom Robinson, a black man who was falsely accused of a crime he didn't commit. As a quick note to any literacy purists out there, there are some sections, or specifically words, that I will be altering due to Facebook's community standards. So I'm very sorry if you know that I'm paraphrasing or if I am changing some words, but I'd much rather not have the video removed. The reason I'm reading from this book is to support the now global protests of against police brutality, and a show of support for people of colour and the black community. This book specifically references these issues in the context of the 1930s, so I think that it is relevant to keep in mind that a lot of language is not only outdated, but it is gendered as well. But without further ado, I will read for you To Kill a Mockingbird. What was the evidence of her offence? Tom Robinson, a human being. She must put Tom Robinson away from her. Tom Robinson was her daily reminder of what she did. What did she do? She tempted a black man. She was white and she tempted a black man. She did something that in our society is unspeakable. She kissed a black man, not an uncle, but a strong black man. No code mattered to her before she broke it, but it came crashing down on her afterwards. Her father saw it, and the defendant has testified as to his remarks. What did her father do? We don't know, but there is circumstantial evidence to indicate that Mayala Elwell was beaten savagely by someone who led almost exclusively with his left. We do know in part that Mr. Elwell did. He did what any God-fearing, persevering, respectable white man would do under the circumstances. He swore out a warrant, no doubt signing it with his left hand, and Tom Robinson now sits before you, having taken the oath with the only good hand he possesses, his right hand. And so, a quiet, respectable, humble black man who had the unmitigated temerity to feel sorry for a white woman has had to put his word against 2 white people's. I need not remind you of their appearance and conduct on the stand. You saw them for yourself. The witness for the state, with the exception of the Sheriff of Macomb County, have presented themselves to you gentlemen, to this court, in the cynical confidence that their testimony would not be doubted. Confident that you gentlemen would go along with them on the assumption, the evil assumption, that all black men lie, that all black men are basically immoral beings, that all black men are not to be trusted around our women, an assumption one associates with the minds of their calibre. Which, gentlemen, we know in itself is a lie as black as Tom Robinson's skin. A lie I do not have to point out to you. You know the truth, and the truth is this. Some black people lie. Some black people are immoral. Some black men are not to be trusted around women, black and white. But this is a truth that applies to the human race, and to no particular race of men. There is not a person in this courtroom who has never told a lie, who has never done an immoral thing, and there is no man living who has never looked upon a woman with desire. Atticus paused and took out his handkerchief. Then he took off his glasses and wiped them, and we saw another first. We had never seen him sweat. He was one of those men whose faces never perspired, but now it was shining tan. One more thing, gentlemen, before I quit. Thomas Jefferson once said that all men are created equal, a phrase that the Yankees and the distaff side of the executive branch in Washington are fond of hurling at us. There is a tendency in this year of our grace, 1935, for certain people to use this phrase out of context, to satisfy all conditions. The most ridiculous example I can think of is that the people who run public education promote the stupid and idle along with the industrious, because all men are created equal. Educators will gravely tell you. The children left behind suffer terrible feelings of inferiority. We know all men are not created equal in the sense some people would have us believe. Some people are smarter than others. Some people have more opportunity because they are born with it. Some men make more money than others. Some ladies make better cakes than others. Some people are born gifted beyond the normal scope of most men. But there is one way in this country which all men are created equal. There is one human institution that makes a pauper the equal of a Rockefeller, the stupid man equal of an Einstein, and the ignorant man the equal of any college president. That institution, gentlemen, is a court. It can be the Supreme Court of the United States, or the humblest JP court in the land, or this honourable court which you serve. Our courts have their faults, as does any human institution, but in this country our courts are the great levelers, and in our courts all men are created equal. I'm no idealist to believe firmly in the integrity of our courts and in the jury system. That is no ideal to me. It is a living, working reality. Gentlemen, a court is no better than each man of you sitting before me on this jury. A court is only as sound as its jury, and a jury is only as sound as the men who make it up. I am confident that you gentlemen will review without passion the evidence you have heard, come to a decision, and restore this defendant to his family. In the name of God, do your duty. Atticus's voice dropped, and as he turned away from the jury, he said something I did not catch. He said it more to himself than to the court. I punched Jem. What did he say? In the name of God, believe him. I think that's what he said. There is one final quote from this book I would like to share with you. It is brief, but please indulge me. The older you grow, the more you'll see. The one place where a man ought to get a square deal is in a courtroom, be he any colour of the rainbow. But people have a way of carrying their resentments right into a jury box. As you grow older, you'll see white men cheat black men every day of your life. But let me tell you something, and don't you forget it. Whenever a white man does that to a black man, no matter who he is, how rich he is, or how fine a family he comes from, that white man is trash.